we just get into it because we're obviously on a bit of a downer, aren't we? And I'm guessing you've got quite a lot to say, so let's just get it underway, yeah?
I actually don't have a lot to say. You know what? I'm a bit lost for words.
Same here.
I'm just stunned, especially when, just before the game, my dad says to me, I fear for you guys today. Obviously, he watched the Palace game with us and he watched the Brighton game with us, so he didn't bother watching the Luton game, really, or the Brighton B-team game, because no one really takes them serious. And everyone went crazy, and Lindelof was the problem. Lindelof's the problem. All I kept hearing, I kept trying to stick up for Lindelof, was Lindelof is the problem. Get Bailly in. We played against Luton. Bailly's apparently. I started hearing people say that Bailly's better than Maguire, and Bailly's the best defender when he's fit in the league. And I just thought, okay. And I'm not putting all this down to Bailly. It's not. When you lose 6-1, it's not one player. That's not what I'm trying to say, but I thought, okay. Then we played against Brighton's B team, and Mopé and Trossard and that weren't playing. So you're playing against players that don't play for Brighton, hardly ever. And we kept a clean sheet there, and Bailly's the man. It's cool. What's the problem today? Now I see people blaming Maguire. This is so much bigger than Lindelof or Maguire or Bailly or Smalling and Jones. Smalling and Jones must be sitting at home right now laughing. They're probably on the phone to each other thinking, we was called the Chuckle Brothers. We didn't concede 6 to Tottenham at home. They conceded 3 and were crucified for it. They didn't concede 6. So they must be sitting. If I'm Smalling right now, I'm phoning the president of Roma and saying, please, I will add the few million that you guys are missing from my own pocket. Just get me out of here. If I'm Cavani or Tellez, I'm thinking to myself, whoa, I'm not sure about this. That's the truth. Donny van der Beek, what his agent said, obviously there's something simmering behind the scenes, because they've seen how bad the first 2 games were, and he couldn't even get off the bench. That's why his agents come out and said this. If Man United are flying and they won their first game 4-0 and they won their second game 5-1, Donny van der Beek's agent don't say a word. He just thinks, you know what, I hope my player gets into this team at some point because they're looking fantastic. But when they've been played off the park, now Donny van der Beek ain't a centre-back. So obviously his agent must watch enough football, sit there and say, okay, their midfield isn't doing enough. And if Smalling and Jones were the problem, like I said before, if Johnny Evans was the problem, if Blind was the problem, Rojo was the problem, Lindelof was the problem, Bailly was the problem, now Maguire's the problem. Is it really just, is it every centre-back that comes to Man United that's the problem? All the fullbacks we've had, whether it was Valencia and Young, whether it was Darmian and whoever else it was, all the fullbacks we've had have always been the problems as well. Now it's Shaw, and there's more to it. Defending as a team, the most important part is your midfield sitting in front of that defence. That midfield has to work. So that's why people say, or players say, that midfield is the hardest place to play, because you have to run back and forward. You've got to do the most. The ball's going to go through you constantly. Now, I spoke to my mate on the phone, and he's right after the game. And he actually rang me and said, I've been trying to ring you through the whole game. I need you right now. I was just like, and then we spoke about it. And he said, today we played against Spurs, who have runners. They have runners. You cannot play Matic and Pogba in midfield together. You cannot play Matic and Pogba in midfield together. You can't. Because they have runners, and those two are not going to be mobile enough to stop Spurs' runners. It's impossible. And if you want, and I've noticed it, Ole, he doesn't want Rashford to come back and sit defending, which I understand, because that's how we can hit teams with the counter-attack. He doesn't want Greenwood. So our fullbacks will always be exposed more. Whether that's Wan-Bissaka, whether it's Dalot, whether it's Shaw, you will see it with Tellez. You will see it with him. The first couple of games might be great, just like Brandon Williams. Do you remember Brandon Williams? When he first came on the scene, it was, we've got the best fullback. He's going to be with us for 10, 15 years. He's unbelievable. He's right-footed. He's the new Dennis Irwin, blah, blah, blah. Shaw's never getting back into the team. Now those same fans hate Williams. And it's not Williams. He will get exposed. Our fullbacks will get exposed because we're trying to play that type of football. But if you're trying to play that type of football where your strikers don't come back and make a back six, because I don't want that. I don't want Rashford and Greenwood playing literally as a back six. You want them further up the pitch and to preserve their energy so that we can counter-attack teams when they're coming at us. But that's when your midfielders have to be mobile enough and have to help. Now, Matic was fantastic last season in certain parts. But come on, 1 year can change a lot, especially when you're getting to the age he's getting to. There's not a fan on Twitter or Instagram that doesn't think we need a defensive midfielder. They haven't gone and bought one. I just don't get it. And what was the point of buying Donny van der Beek if you're not going to play him? Because you've got other players that can come in and play that position. Now, when I look at it, was Pereira that bad? Honestly, I'm not saying Pereira's fantastic, but was Pereira that bad? Because I don't remember I was getting beat 6-1 with Pereira on the pitch. So that means he must have worked harder than those players that were there. Is Pereira that bad? Is Lingard that bad? Yes, maybe in the final third. But if you haven't got players that are sitting in front of that defence and are going to work really hard in that midfield, it doesn't matter how good they can be going forward because you're going to get battered at the other end. We got played off the park by Palace and everyone blamed Daniel James and Scott McTominay. Well, guess what? We played Brighton. Daniel James and Scott McTominay did not start. And Brighton played us off the park. We was lucky to come away with the win now. We would have been lucky to come away with a draw in that game. Brighton played us off the park. And I can't blame the defence. Why I didn't blame the defence was because we couldn't keep the ball. In the last 10, 15 minutes especially, we couldn't string 5 passes together. It was one Brighton attack after the other. That's not the defence. That's the midfield and the defence and the attack not being able to link up together. What do these players... What's their training methods? What do they do, realistically? Is it pump the balls into the box and take penalties? Like, let's see who's the best spot kick taker if Bruno was to get injured or not on the pitch. Like, what is it they actually do? Because you're definitely... we've gone through 15 defenders in the last, 4 managers. You cannot tell me that it's still the defence's fault. And some of you will watch this and say, don't know what he's talking about. Maguire was terrible. Shaw was terrible. Why was terrible? But there has to be a reason for it. Jones and Smalling were terrible. Blind was terrible. Evans was terrible. I can keep going on. Surely all them players can't be terrible because Smalling's loved at Roma. Johnny Evans has done decent at Leicester. Forget the game today. He's done decent there. Blind has done fantastic with Ajax. So is it something at Manchester United? And during the game when it was 4-1, my cousin rang me, funny enough, or FaceTime me. And he said the biggest problem is, and this is so true, we don't know how, the people that are there, and this isn't, I'm not even talking about Ole, forget Ole, because we said LVG wasn't good enough. On that action, we said Moyes wasn't good enough, he's got a good squad. Then we said LVG wasn't good enough. Then we said Mourinho wasn't good enough. Now it's Ole isn't good enough. Who's good enough then? Honestly, who's good enough? But it's the other people that are running the club. They're not good enough to get us back to where we want to be. So since Fergie left, we can't get back there. And I'll be honest with you, they need to aim on building a squad and stop thinking about we need to be in the Champions League, because all that garbage about we need to be in Champions League to sign players, well, we're in the Champions League now. And we're at the moment, we're going to have signed Donny van der Beek, who's warming our bench, Tells, and Cavani, who's going to be 34 in February. And February's going to come very quick because October's going to be finished soon. We haven't got a game for a couple of weeks. So you're going to have 3-4 months and the guy's going to be 34 years of age. So that means we will have spent about £50 million after getting back into the Champions League. You can't, and for me, Evra said that apparently Avram Glazer loves Manchester United. Well, if that's the case, then his love must mean hate. It has to do, because you've got bankers and lawyers running the club, and clubs are taking the piss out of us. Dortmund said clearly what their stance was, and we've left it to the last day. And people, we're all dreaming. I know Sancho ain't coming now. People are dreaming that it's going to be done tomorrow, that hopefully some bid goes in. It ain't happening. They couldn't care less. They've got back into the Champions League. They'll eat this money. They'll get rid of Ole, get another manager in. Fans will be excited again for a bit. Go out and buy a load of shirts and be all happy. It might go well for 6 months, a year, and then maybe get back into the Champions League. They nick some more money, back down the same road again. And to be honest with you, the only way I can see it changing, truthfully, is no one going. When people are allowed back into the stands, no one going. That's not going to happen. It's impossible to stop hundreds of millions of fans going to watch Manchester United, and that's a fact. But that's the only way. If other stadiums are full and Old Trafford is completely empty other than their away fans, there will be question marks raised because share prices will drop and there will be pressure. And then whether Ole's there or not, they won't just keep sacking the manager. It'll be other things. They'll know it's other things behind the scenes that fans ain't turning up. But I've said it, maybe, do you know what? Maybe Ole's hit his peak. Fair enough, but everybody said we had no chance of even finishing 6th last season. He got us 3rd and got us to 3 semi-finals with probably one of the weakest squads in the league. Not first 11, one of the weakest squads in the league. He deserved players like Sancho and Grealish. And a month ago, 6 weeks ago, that's what he deserved. I've made my feelings very clear on what I think about Bruno. And don't get me wrong, the talent there, we know the talent there. But just like Pogba, I think they give the ball away too much. And your midfielders can't be doing that. If you look at like someone like Hojbjerg today for Spurs, just kept it simple and let the good players do what they had to do. Just keep it simple. But I've made my feelings about Bruno heard, and I'm not blaming this on him today. I'm not. You can't lose 6-1, it'll be one player's fault. If you lose 1-0, yeah. If it's a tight game, you lose 1-0, it could be one player's fault. Not 6-1. And he wasn't even on the pitch for the second half. But with him coming in, fans got overexcited that it's all him, he's done it all. No. It gave the players and the club such a boost just signing that one player in January because we'd been so low that they all started playing better. That's what happens. You all start playing better. That's the boost it gave them. And that's the boost players like Sancho and Grealish could have given Manchester United. And other teams would have looked and thought, oh my God, they finished 3rd last season, looked brilliant. Now they've gone and got these 2. How do we stop them? Well, really, they look at us and laughing. I don't think there's a club in the league that ain't laughing at us. And that's the truth. And we can blame it on Maguire today. You can blame it on Shaw. You can blame it on whoever you want. You can say what Martial... I love Martial, but what he did was silly. Come on. You're better off going to the floor yourself. When he's done that elbow thing, you should be going to the floor. I don't like that. I don't condone that, but that's in football. And it's amazing that football's the only sport you can cheat in and get away with it. That's what Lamella's done. He's cheated and got away with it. Martial's hardly touched him. Yeah? So then if you know cheating's allowed, do it. That's what Martial should have done, but I'm not just blaming him. It's everything. Like, for example, we've now had Martial sent off. The ball comes to buy. Since I was a kid playing football, and every kid knows this, everybody knows this. My daughter's now centre back, and she's fantastic, by the way. You're not allowed to pass the ball across the face of your box under pressure. It's the cardinal sin. That's the one thing you're taught as defenders. And Bailly hasn't chose to go out to Wan-Bissaka, even though he might have a player close to him. He hasn't chose to boost it down the other end. He's chose to pass it across his 18-yard box and gave them the ball. And that's, do you know what? It was going to be hard anyway. But that was the nail in the coffin. That was that you're getting destroyed today now. Because we just had Martial sent off, then that goal goes in, it's over. It is over. Where if the game had stayed at 2-1 till half-time, we might still have just maybe lost 3-1, but still been a bit more respectful than this, and you might have seen a bit more of a fight with 10 men. Mate, do you know what? You can beat Ole out. You can blame every player out there. You can blame, like I said, Lindelof, Maguire, Bailly, whoever. Even the players ain't playing. Do you know what? Let's blame Jones, and he's not even there.
I would have blamed him a few years ago, but no, he's not in the blame for me now.
Do you see what I mean? We would have blamed him, but nothing's changed. Maguire's a million times better than Jones. And nothing's changed. So surely it can't just be our defence. It's everything at United. That their passing isn't even great. We give the ball away so sloppy. We're meant to have world-class players in midfield, and we just give the ball away. Like, it's pathetic. It's actually pathetic. We are pathetic at the moment. We are pathetic.
What do you
Honestly, that's great.
what do you think we can do, Pundit? What do you think we need to do? Can't do anything in the transfer market now. Like you said, it's just too late. And
Well, apparently you can sign players in England until the 16th of October. Going tomorrow morning. I don't know if you saw the West Ham Leicester game. Declan Rice was he was sensational. He reminds me of Carrick. He's the closest thing I've seen to Carrick since Carrick. That's the truth. Go and sign him. Go tomorrow morning, or because they will need a week at least to even put in a proper bid. Go and offer West Ham whatever they want. If they say they want 100 million, give them 100 million. I don't care. I'm not saying Declan Rice is 100 million right now, but just give them 100 million. I don't care, because this can't carry on. You're going to finish 6th, 7th, or 8th. You're going to sack Ole. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. Another manager might come in and say, listen, I don't like Bruno, and I don't like Pogba. Then what happens? Or I don't like Maguire, 80 million centre-back, who this new manager's not going to like. He might say, I don't like Martial up front. So now you just wasted all that time on Martial up front. Like, this is just, it's pathetic. It's actually, the Cavani thing, what a pathetic signing. You're not going anywhere. It's just like, I was never happy with the Zlatan signing, because I knew it had a limited time. Not that Zlatan hadn't been a good player at other places, but it had limited time. That's not what Man United should be doing. You should not be going to sign a player for a limited amount of time who might give you a half a season or season. You should be going to sign players that are going to build the team.
yes, that's Cavani. You think it's a bit desperate from the club? Like, just go quickly, just get somebody in, like, just to make it seem like we've...
Of course it is. And Cavani's agent knew Cavani wanted more money, and he thought, who's the only idiots that we know out there that will pay this kind of money? Oh, Manchester United. What can we go and do? There's nothing. What can we go and do now? Go and spend 250 million, get Declan Rice and Jadon Sancho, and have the defence working with the midfield to be a unit, and then have the midfield working with the front three, whoever they're going to be, whoever they're starting to be, working to keep ball and find pockets. Don't force the pass, because you're just giving the ball straight back to the other team. Make them work for that ball. Why is it when we go ahead, I know it's only a space of a few minutes and Tottenham had a goal straight away, but why is it when we go ahead, we can't keep the ball? But when a game starts, or we go 1-0 down, we can pass the ball from one flank to the other, We come all the way from the right, all the way up to the left, back over to the right. Then we can keep the ball safe. When we go ahead, we don't know how to just take this thing out of the game. You've got 1-0 ahead in 2 minutes. Don't get overexcited, but that's the problem. They're all kids. All of them out there are kids. Greenwood, I love him. He had 3 shots early on. 2 of them took deflection straight away and just went straight to the goalkeeper's hands. 1 of them went wide. I didn't see, and one of them, we had a really promising attack. I didn't see one player scream at him. Because there's no leader out there. It's just a bunch of headless chickens, little kids with no leaders. There's not one leader on that pitch. Not one vocal voice. Who's vocal? Really? What, Bruno, when you had an argument with Lindelof? That's embarrassing. You had an argument on the pitch with each other. That's embarrassing. Right? You need leaders out there. Man United always had leaders. You always knew. Any team that was going to play us knew there was big figures out there. Huge figures. It was going to be a fight today. You're not going to win. And where did we say we won the battle? In the midfield. We're losing battles in the midfield, but everyone's blaming the defence, because no one wants to come out and say Pogba and Bruno ain't good enough, because that's their pin-up boys. But we're losing the battle in midfield. Matic, Pogba and Bruno does not work. You saw it against Brighton, and you've seen it again today. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. At one point, so what? I'm actually going to get the recording. At one point, when Pogba wins a free kick, Matic, Bruno, and Pogba are within a little triangle of each other, out on the left-hand side. They're all 5 yards of each other. That's your midfield. You could throw a blanket over them. You can throw a blanket over our midfield. That's where we want to create things. There's a lot. Ole's to blame as well. Listen, you can't lose 6-1 as a manager and not get any blame. I'm sorry. You're to blame.
I was going to say, Pundit, like, we just literally listened to the interview. What did you make of that from Ole after such a hammering defeat of 6-1 from Spurs. I mean, like, did he do well, or was he just sort of lying for the board again and sort of being the meat in between a shit sandwich?
He's saying he's got to hold up his hands, but you should have known this after the Palace or the Brighton game. If he was going to give that many chances away to Spurs, they're going to take them. No disrespect to Brighton, but Kane and Son are going to take these chances, and that's exactly what happened today. We gave the same silly chances away. Listen, why he has to take some of the biggest blame is he said that Bailly was a tactical substitution or a tactical change, because obviously they thought they'd spotted something. No, it didn't work. You've probably been on social media and seen what fans have been saying. You're listening to other people now, and for me that's a worrying thing, because that means you're hitting your peak as a manager. You're not really sure. You should not be changing your centre-back pairing, because that's the centre-back pairing you like, that you're going with. And if you can't identify, if you just think it's a defence, and now you're going to come away from this and think it's a defence, then you're going to be sacked at some point, because you're not going to have to lift this team. And at the end of the day, the way I look at it is, I don't rate Pochettino that highly, but he didn't get those signings. And his Tottenham team still didn't get battered, getting battered like that since year in, year out. Okay, he weren't getting signings. He was getting nobody at all. So there's no excuse. You can use all the signings in the world and everything. There's no excuse for that display. None whatsoever, I'm sorry.
So to quickly end up Unofficial Pundit, because obviously I'm feeling a bit bitter about this result, and I don't know, I just feel like I just want to go to bed and just sort of wake up and just hear all these rumours that we've signed the players, like you just said. So, like, what's your stance on it? Is it Glazers out, Ole in, and get the team together, or like, do you think Pochettino would be the person that should come in?
No, I don't. Poch didn't win anything. Oh, Aston Villa 1-0. Well, there's Liverpool. No. Well,
Remember,
do you know what? I'll be honest with you. It's a crazy, crazy season this season. City look terrible. They've gone out and spent 150 million. They've gone out and spent 150 million pounds, City, and they look terrible. And if you're adding up CVs, Pep's a million miles ahead of Ole, and he can't get it right. Liverpool haven't looked fantastic. Let's be honest. Against Leeds, they didn't look fantastic. Oh, it was apparently a goalkeeping error. Alisson ain't in goal, is he?
oh yeah, oh dear. Assist from Grealish as well.
Of course, the player said Ole should have been getting. Anyway, let's forget that. But no one's looked great. Leicester battered City 5-2, and then when they got destroyed today by West Ham. Who West Ham beat Wolves 4-0 and beat. Do you understand what I mean? It's a very, very weird season. It started off weird, like really weird. So I just have to put it down one of the freak things, but mate, I don't know. I really don't. If fans think that Tell's coming in and Cavani is going to change much of what happened today, then we're in for a really, really horrible long season. We really are.
We are indeed, mate. Thank you so much for joining us again today, mate. I'm actually interested in watching this game now. Now it's gone 1-0 up. Do you want to shout out all your social media?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm changing my stuff now. I'm getting rid of the Unofficial Pundit on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm just going with my own page. On Twitter, it's Cass, and on Instagram is I am Cass1. That's what I'll be working off of. So I'm slowly moving. The other two pages will be done in a couple of weeks. I'm just gonna, because what it is, you know what? I ain't got time to argue with people and do all this 24/7 and be posting all the time, because eventually you just become negative. And I've seen myself being negative and running players down that I shouldn't even be running down. There's a bigger problem here. And that's because I'm arguing with people who, like, I've seen people today saying, like, Rashford's the problem. Like, one tweet I saw was, all the English players are our problem. What? Yeah, because there was an English player in midfield today that gave the ball away a million times. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, come on, that's just pathetic. Like, yeah, because it was an English player who passed the ball across the face of his box. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I just thought, do you know what? I want to carry on, because I've got a lot of people. I had over 100 messages on Instagram of people saying, please don't delete your page and all that. I just said to them, listen, I messaged them all back. I didn't want to miss anyone. I just said, listen, this is my page I'm going to. And they've all jumped over and followed me over there. So I don't want to stop because a lot of people say they like hearing what I have to say and the way I support the club and that. So I'll carry on with that. But yeah, I'll be doing it for my own personal pages now.
Brilliant, mate. Well, we'll still be following you, mate. And hopefully
Cheers,
we'll get you on again soon, right? When things are looking a bit better, hopefully.
Hopefully. Sweet, bro.
Brilliant, mate. Cheers. Take care.
You too, mate. Yeah.